The morning arrives without announcement, carrying with it the weight of change that neither the small dog nor the world around him can yet name. Charlie sits in the center of a marble foyer, his compact body still, his dark eyes fixed on the tall figure moving through the space with quiet authority. Sheikh Omar crosses the room in traditional white robes that catch the early light filtering through floor-to-ceiling windows, his movements deliberate, unhurried, as though time itself bends to accommodate his intentions. The air smells of oud and cardamom, familiar scents that have woven themselves into the fabric of Charlie's short life, but today they mingle with something else: leather, metal, the faint chemical trace of jet fuel carried on the Sheikh's clothing from an early morning inspection of his private aircraft. Charlie does not understand departure. He knows only the rhythm of rooms, the cool touch of stone beneath his paws, the voice that speaks to him in soft Arabic phrases he has learned to recognize by tone rather than meaning. But today, that rhythm fractures. A carrier appears, not the small temporary kind used for brief trips to the veterinarian, but something larger, lined with cream-colored cushions that smell new, untouched. The Sheikh kneels, a gesture that always precedes gentleness, and places one hand on Charlie's head. The palm is warm, steady, and Charlie leans into it without thinking, seeking the reassurance that lives in that touch. Words are spoken, low and melodic, and though Charlie cannot translate them, he feels their intent. "Trust me," they say. "This is necessary. They promise you are safe." The carrier door closes with a soft click. Through the ventilation slats, Charlie watches the world compress into horizontal strips: marble floor, the hem of white robes, the polished shoes of attendants who move with synchronized efficiency. He is lifted, carried through corridors he recognizes, and then through ones he does not until the air changes, grows warmer, touched by the humidity of a morning that has not yet surrendered to the desert heat. Outside, Charlie's breath quickens. He has been outside before, but always in controlled environments, walled gardens where the sky is framed by architecture. Now the sky is vast, pale blue stretching toward white, and in the center of his limited vision stands something immense and gleaming. The private jet rises from the tarmac like a monument to human ambition, its body a study in aerodynamic grace and uncompromising luxury. The exterior is pearl white with gold accents along the fuselage, the Sheikh's family crest rendered in intricate detail near the tail. Stairs extend from the aircraft's side, carpeted in deep burgundy, each step edged in polished brass. Attendants in crisp uniforms stand at attention, their postures respectful but not servile, awaiting the Sheikh's approach. Charlie feels the ascent through his body, the angle of the carrier shifting, the subtle bounce of each step absorbed through the Sheikh's steady gait. Then they are inside, and the world transforms again. The cabin of the private aircraft is not a machine, but a dwelling suspended in potential motion. The floors are covered in hand-woven carpets from Isfahan, their patterns geometric and hypnotic, blues and golds that echo the colors of desert twilight. The seats are not seats but thrones of butter-soft leather in cream and caramel, each one wide enough to recline fully, each positioned to offer views through windows larger than any Charlie has seen in the air. Overhead, the ceiling is paneled in polished wood, warm tones that soften the technology embedded within. Hidden speakers, climate controls, lighting that can shift from the cool brightness of noon to the amber warmth of evening at the touch of a screen. There is a bedroom toward the rear, visible through a partially open door, where a bed dressed in Egyptian cotton awaits, and beyond that, a bathroom finished in marble and gold fixtures. Forward, a dining area where crystal glasses stand ready in custom holders, where meals are prepared in a galley equipped to rival fine restaurants. This is not transportation. This is dominion over distance, refusal to compromise comfort for necessity. The carrier is placed on a low table beside the Sheikh's seat, and Charlie watches as Omar settles into the leather, his robes arranged with unconscious grace. An attendant approaches, offers a tablet for the Sheikh's review, speaks in low tones about flight time, weather conditions, arrival protocols. Omar listens, nods, dismisses the man with a gesture that is both kind and final. Then the Sheikh's attention turns fully to the carrier. The door opens. Charlie hesitates. The space beyond is unfamiliar, filled with the quiet hum of auxiliary power. the muted conversation of crew members preparing for departure. But Omar's hand extends, palm up, an invitation without demand. Charlie steps forward. The leather of the seat is cool against his belly, as Omar lifts him free of the carrier and settles him on the cushion beside him. For a moment, Charlie stands rigid, muscles tense, ears alert to every sound. The hydraulic whine of the door sealing, the deep rumble of engines beginning their warm-up cycle, the soft chime of the cabin communication system. Omar's hand finds the space between Charlie's shoulders, fingers spreading to cover the small dog's back, thumb moving in slow circles that interrupt the spiral of anxiety before it can take hold. Charlie sits. The hand remains. The engines grow louder. Takeoff is a violence of physics that no amount of luxury can entirely disguise. Charlie feels the acceleration in his bones, the way the aircraft gathers speed like a living thing preparing to leap, the precise moment when wheels leave Earth and the laws of gravity are temporarily negotiated rather than obeyed. His stomach drops. His claws dig into leather that is too soft to provide purchase. But Omar's hand stays firm, a constant point of contact, and his voice continues its low murmur, words that mean nothing and everything, sounds that say, "I am here, you are not alone, this fear is temporary." The aircraft climbs steeply, banking slightly, and through the window Charlie sees the ground fall away, buildings shrinking to toy-like dimensions, roads becoming threads, the world revealing its vastness and his own smallness within it. But then the angle levels. The engines settle into a steady drone. The seatbelt sign chimes off, and Omar's posture relaxes incrementally. Charlie's breathing slows to match the rhythm of the hand on his back. An attendant appears with a silver tray, Arabic coffee for the sheikh in a small cup without handles, and a bowl of cool water for Charlie, placed on the table within easy reach. Omar lifts his coffee, inhales its cardamom-spiced steam, takes a measured sip. Charlie watches this ritual, finds comfort in its normalcy. He turns to the water bowl, laps carefully, the cool liquid soothing against his dry tongue. Outside the window, clouds pass like slow-moving thoughts, white against deeper blue, and below them, invisible now, the earth continues its ancient rotation, indifferent to those who rise above it. The flight stretches into hours, though Charlie has no concept of duration, only the accumulation of moments. Omar works for a time, his tablet glowing with documents written in Arabic script that flows like calligraphy, even in digital form. Charlie dozes, wakes, watches the sheikh's face in profile, the strong nose, the carefully trimmed beard, the eyes that carry the weight of decisions Charlie cannot imagine. Sometimes Omar's hand returns to rest on Charlie's head, absent-minded affection, while his mind engages with matters of business, family, legacy. Sometimes an attendant brings food, for Omar. Dishes that arrive under silver domes, revealing grilled meats, fragrant rice, salads glistening with olive oil. For Charlie, a small portion of carefully prepared chicken, boneless and unseasoned, placed in a porcelain bowl that probably cost more than most families spend on dinnerware. Charlie eats because eating is familiar, but his appetite is muted by the strangeness of everything else. Somewhere over the Arabian Sea, the light begins to change. The sun, which has been their companion on the journey, starts its descent toward the western horizon, and the cabin fills with golden light that transforms the already beautiful space into something transcendent. The carpets glow, the leather seems to warm from within. Omar sets aside his work, reclines his seat slightly and turns his gaze to the window. Charlie, sensing the shift in attention, stands and places his front paws on the armrest, stretching to see what has captured the sheikh's focus. Below, the sea is a sheet of hammered bronze, and ahead, barely visible through the atmospheric haze, the coastline begins to emerge. A thin, dark line separating water from sky. Dubai announces itself not gradually, but with sudden, overwhelming presence. One moment there is only the natural geography of coast and desert, and the next, the city erupts from the sand like a fever dream of glass and ambition. The Burj Khalifa rises impossibly tall, a needle that seems to pierce the sky itself, its surface reflecting the dying sun in shades of gold and rose. Around it, other towers cluster like attendants to royalty, each one a statement of architectural daring, twisted forms, sail-shaped silhouettes, buildings that seem to defy the physics that govern lesser structures. The palm Jumeirah spreads across the water, its fronds geometric and precise, a human-made island that resembles nothing so much as an act of planetary sculpture. Highways loop and interweave, ribbons of motion even from this height, and everywhere glass. Glass that catches light, fragments it, throws it back to the sky in cascades of brilliance. The aircraft begins its descent, and Charlie feels the change in pressure, the subtle pop in his ears that he shakes his head against. Omar notices, reaches to gently massage the base of Charlie's ears, easing the discomfort. The city grows larger, more detailed. Charlie can see individual buildings now, swimming pools that gleam like turquoise jewels on rooftops, the organized chaos of construction sites where new impossibilities are being erected. The Sheikh speaks into his phone, Arabic phrases clipped and efficient, coordinating the arrival, ensuring that the machinery of his life here is prepared for his return and for the small creature who will now be part of that life. Charlie does not understand the words, but he understands the tone. This is a man who shapes his environment rather than adapting to it, who has built a world and now brings Charlie into it not as an afterthought, but with intentionality. The landing is smoother than the takeoff, the pilot skilled enough that the wheels kiss the runway with barely a jolt. The engines roar into reverse thrust, slowing the aircraft with controlled power, and then they are taxiing, moving past commercial terminals toward a private section of the airport where other jets sit like expensive toys in an exclusive playground. The aircraft stops, the engines wind down. In the sudden relative quiet, Charlie can hear his own breathing, quick and shallow. The seatbelt sign chimes off. Omar stands, stretches with the unself-conscious grace of someone who has never had to make himself small in any space. He looks down at Charlie, and something in his expression softens. Pride, perhaps, or satisfaction that this small creature has endured the journey without complaint. The door opens, and the heat enters like a living presence. Dubai in late afternoon is a wall of warmth, dry but absolute, carrying scents utterly unlike anything in Charlie's experience. Desert sand, diesel fuel, the salt of the nearby Gulf, the green smell of irrigated gardens fighting against the arid climate, spices from distant markets, the metallic tang of a city that never stops building. Omar scoops Charlie into his arms, forgoes the carrier, holds him against his chest where the dog can feel the Sheikh's heartbeat through the fabric of his robes. They descend the stairs together, and at the bottom, a convoy waits. The vehicles are Range Rovers, black and pristine, their windows tinted dark against the sun. Drivers stand ready, doors open, and as Omar approaches with Charlie, they bow slightly, not in civility, but in genuine respect. The interior of the lead vehicle is cool, the air conditioning a mercy, the seats leather in a lighter shade than the exterior. Charlie is placed on the seat beside Omar, and the door closes, sealing them in climate-controlled silence. The convoy begins to move, exiting the airport through private gates where security waves them through without stopping, and then they are on the highway, joining the flow of traffic that moves with surprising order despite its density. The drive to the residence is a procession through a city that seems to exist in multiple time frames simultaneously. Ancient desert traditions visible in the flowing robes of men at a roadside cafe, futuristic ambition in the towers that rise like visions of a century hence, and everywhere, the present moment asserting itself in the sheer vitality of commerce, construction, human activity. Charlie watches through the window, his nose leaving small fog marks on the glass. The highway is immaculate, lanes wide and smooth, lined with landscaping that must require armies of workers to maintain in this climate. Palm trees standing in geometric rows, flowering bushes in improbable colors, grass that is somehow green despite the desert sun. Overhead, the sky deepens from pale blue to something richer, the first hint of evening beginning its claim on the day. The residence, when they reach it, is not a house but an estate, set back from the road behind walls that are both barrier and aesthetic statement. Pale stone embedded with geometric patterns, topped with subtle lighting that will illuminate the designs after dark. The gates open as the convoy approaches, some invisible system recognizing the vehicles, granting access without hesitation. The driveway curves through gardens that seem impossible. Water features where fountains arc and fall, their sound a gentle counterpoint to the city's distant hum. Date palms that provide dappled shade, flowering trees that perfume the air with jasmine and orange blossom. And then the residence itself comes into view. The architecture is contemporary but rooted in tradition, clean lines and vast windows, balanced by arches and proportions that echo classical Islamic design. The facade is white stone and glass, reflecting the sky and gardens, making it difficult to tell where building ends and environment begins. The entrance is marked by double doors of dark wood, inlaid with mother-of-pearl patterns that catch the fading light. As the vehicle stops, those doors open and staff emerge, not a crowd, but a small, select group, their postures attentive, their expressions welcoming. Omar exits the vehicle, Charlie still in his arms, and the staff bow. The Sheikh acknowledges them with a nod, speaks a few words that cause smiles, and then he walks forward, carrying Charlie across the threshold into the entry hall. Inside, the temperature is perfect, the light soft and warm from fixtures recessed into a ceiling 2 stories high. The floor is marble, polished to a mirror shine, its veining patterns like rivers frozen in stone. Ahead, a staircase curves upward, its railing glass and steel, each step seemingly floating. To one side, a living area where furniture in cream and gold invites rest without demanding it, arranged around a fireplace that is more art installation than functional necessity in this climate. To the other side, a dining room where a table of dark wood could seat 20, though tonight it stands empty. A single orchid arrangement at its center, white blooms against dark wood. And everywhere Charlie's reflection, caught in polished surfaces multiplied in mirrors, a small fawn-colored shape against grandeur that was not built for something his size, but somehow accommodates him anyway. Omar carries Charlie through the space, his steps echoing softly. And Charlie feels the Sheikh's chest rise and fall with steady breaths, feels the strength in the arms that hold him, the certainty in the gait. They move past the public rooms into a wing that feels more private, doors opening onto spaces clearly meant for living rather than entertaining. A study lined with books in Arabic and English, their spines leather and cloth. A sitting room with cushions on low furniture, a television screen hidden behind carved wooden panels. And finally, a bedroom. Not Omar's own, which lies in another part of the residence, but one that has been prepared for Charlie with the same attention to detail evident everywhere else. The room is smaller, human-scaled rather than palatial, with a window that overlooks the garden and the city beyond. Against one wall stands a bed sized for a dog, but elevated off the floor, its mattress orthopedic, its cover washable silk in soft grey. Beside it, bowls for food and water ceramic with blue patterns. A selection of toys arranged in a woven basket, some plush, some designed for chewing, all new, all chosen with care. In the corner, a cushioned crate with its door standing open, an invitation rather than a cage. The floor is heated stone, comfortable against pores. The air smells clean, with a faint trace of the same oud that scents the rest of the house, a continuity of environment that says, this is not a separate space, but part of the whole. You are not an addition, but an integration. Omar sets Charlie down on the floor, and for the first time in hours, the dog stands on his own 4 legs on solid ground. He takes a tentative step, then another. His body aches slightly from the journey, muscles stiff from being held in one position too long. He walks to the window, places his paws on the low sill, looks out at the garden where automatic lights are beginning to glow, at the city beyond where towers blaze with illumination as evening settles over Dubai. Behind him, he hears Omar move to the doorway, hears the Sheikh speak softly to someone in the hall, giving instructions about Charlie's schedule, his meals, his care. Charlie turns from the window and finds Omar watching him, the tall man leaning against the doorframe, his expression unreadable in the growing dimness. They regard each other across the space, the small dog from France, bred for companionship, carried halfway across the world to a life he could not have imagined, and the Arab Sheikh, powerful and wealthy, who has chosen to make room in his precisely ordered existence for this small creature's needs and comfort. The moment stretches. Then Omar crosses the room, kneels so that his face is level with Charlie's, and places both hands on either side of the dog's head, thumbs gently stroking the soft fur of his cheeks. Words are spoken, Arabic phrases that carry the cadence of promise and commitment. Charlie leans forward until his forehead touches Omar's, a gesture instinctive and trusting. They stay that way, breathing the same air, connected by touch and by the unspoken understanding that has been building throughout this long day of change and journey. Then Omar rises, his knees protesting slightly, and walks to the door. He pauses there, looks back once, his expression softening into something that might be tenderness or might be satisfaction that this transition has been accomplished without trauma. The light from the hall silhouettes him, makes him seem larger than life, and then he steps through, pulling the door partially closed, leaving it open just enough that Charlie can leave if he chooses, that he is not trapped, but trusted to make his own decisions within the safety that has been provided. Charlie stands alone in his new room, in his new city, in his new life. The exhaustion of travel settles over him like a blanket, and he walks to the elevated bed, sniffs it cautiously, finds it acceptable. He climbs onto it, the height perfect for his short legs, the mattress receiving his weight with exactly the right amount of support. He circles once, twice, 3 times, the ancient ritual of comfort-seeking, and then he settles, his body curling into itself, his nose tucking toward his tail. Through the partially open door, he can hear the sounds of the household. Voices speaking in Arabic, footsteps on marble, the distant rush of water through pipes, the hum of air conditioning maintaining perfect temperature against the desert heat outside. These sounds are unfamiliar, but they are not threatening. They are the sounds of a place where people live with care and order, where everything has its place and purpose, and where he, somehow, has been granted a place as well. Outside the window, Dubai continues its endless dance of light and motion, a city that never truly sleeps, that pushes always toward the next achievement, the next impossibility made real. But inside this room, inside this residence, inside the safety that Sheikh Omar has constructed around this small French Bulldog, there is stillness. Charlie's breathing deepens, slows, and his eyes drift closed. The journey is over. The arrival is complete. Tomorrow will bring new discoveries, new rhythms to learn, new bonds to deepen. But tonight there is only this, a small dog in a comfortable bed, in a room prepared with care, in a house that has opened to receive him, in a city of glass and light and endless ambition, where even the smallest creature can find a place to call home if someone powerful enough decides they belong.